the HOV Divine Living Covenant of Honor of the Entire Earth, by the Honoraries of Veracity, author Ryan Martin of the House of Williams. Veritas Super Omnia, Truth Above All. Table of Contents. 1. Why this covenant was made, pages 4 to 5. 2. Preamble, page 6. 3. Proclamation stamp, page 7. 4. Article 1, Sovereignty and Jurisdiction, page 8. Article 2, Fundamental Principles, page 9. 6. Article 3, Rights and Freedom of the Living Soul, pages 10 to 16. 7. Article 4, Society Structure and Local Assemblies, pages 17 to 19. 8. Article V, Justice and Conflict Resolution, pages 20 to 23-9. Article 6, Energy, Stewardship and Resources, pages 24 to 27. 10. Article 7, International Recognition, pages 28 to 29. 11. Article 8, Amendment Process, pages 30 to 32. 12. Article 9, Severability and Supremacy, page 33. 13. Article Ngs, Protection Against Infiltration and Secret Control, pages 34 to 35. 14. Article Lion, Sacred Consequence for Treason by Stewards, pages 36 to 37. 15. Article Thwine, Spiritual and Moral Protection, page 38. 16. Article SWEF, Disaster or Emergency Integrity, pages 39 to 40. 17. Article 19, Technological and Artificial Intelligence Sovereignty, page 41. 18. Article 19, Inheritance of Living Status, page 42. 19. Article 6, Protection of Elders and the Vulnerable, pages 43 to 44. 20. Article 1, Divine Assembly Protocols, pages 45 to 46. 21. Article 20, Diplomatic Treaties, pages 47 to 48. 22. Article 13, Protection of Indigenous Lineage and Sacred Custodianship, page 49. Article 14, Non-Human Rights and Sentient Life Protections, page 50. 24. Article 15, Sacred Education Systems, page 51. 25. Article 16, Sacred Protection Against Technological and Environmental Assault, pages 52 to 53. 26. Article SWEF and Summary of Protection and Accountability, pages 54 to 55. Article 13, Parental Equality and Sacred Child Access, page 56. 28. Article 19, Sacred Marriage and Covenant of Union, page 57. Article XXX, Recognition of Supporting Declarations of Rights, pages 58 to 59. 30. Article When Equal Standing and Freedom from Discrimination, pages 60 to 61. 31. Closing Declaration and Affirmation, pages 62 to 63. Why this covenant was made. The HOV Divine Living Covenant of Honor of the Entire Earth was born out of necessity, not for control, but for liberation. It exists to affirm that living men and women, made in the image of the Creator, are not subjects of corporate fictions, colonial systems, or artificial jurisdictions. This sacred document was created as a direct response to centuries of deception, tyranny, and usurpation of natural rights through legal trickery and covert domination by illegitimate powers. Too long have the people of Earth been ruled by hidden hands, by statutes and codes that bind the legal person, not the living soul. This covenant stands as a lawful, peaceful, and divine rebuttal to that fiction. It is not a contract, it is a covenant. What its purpose is. The purpose of this covenant is to restore self-governance to the people under natural and divine law, declare sovereignty and standing for all who live by truth and peace, protect the living from intrusion by corporate, maritime, or imperial systems, establish a society based on voluntary association, honor, and remedy, safeguard future generations from spiritual and lawful enslavement, uphold truth above all. Veritas Super Omnia, this covenant does not rule, it does not force, it affirms. It is not granted by a king, a parliament, or a court, but written and adopted by the free will of the living. It is a map back to natural order, spiritual clarity, and societal integrity. Who this covenant serves? It serves all who walk in peace, recognize their divine origin, and choose to live with conscience, compassion, and courage. It invites no oath. It demands no allegiance. Only this, that you walk as you were made, free, sovereign, and responsible for your truth. International Recognition Notice of the HOV Divine Covenant. This document serves as a formal international declaration and notice of the existence, authority, and lawful standing of the HOV Divine Covenant of the living of the entire earth. It affirms the right of self-determination of all peoples and the existence of the Honoraries of Veracity as a private, spiritual, and lawful society operating under divine and natural law. Recognition is hereby asserted of the following rights and principles under international law, natural law, and divine authority. 1. The inherent right of peoples to self-governance, as affirmed in the Charter and Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. 2. The lawful use of private covenants, societies, and declarations of status and standing. 3. The inalienable rights of all living beings to life, freedom, spiritual expression, and peaceful assembly. 4. The rejection of coercion, experimentation, legal presumption, or forced contracts not entered into knowingly, willingly, and without duress. The HOV Divine Covenant draws spiritual and lawful harmony from, but is not affiliated with, the following declarations: the Magna Carta, 1215, the Nuremberg Code, 1947, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, 2007. The Honoraries of Veracity recognize no higher jurisdiction than that of the living, divine law gifted by the eternal source. All treaties, declarations, and human instruments must conform to this higher order to be acknowledged. This covenant is not an act of rebellion. It is a return to lawful living, peace, and sacred custodianship of the earth. This international notice is proclaimed in full standing, with clean hands and honorable intent, witnessed by creation and eternity. We, the living men and women of sound mind and divine essence, hereby establish this living covenant of the Honoraries of Veracity, guided by truth, peace, natural law, and the sacred principle of self-determination. Recognizing that sovereignty resides not in governments or corporations, but in each individual created by the Supreme Source, we affirm our right to live freely, govern ourselves in honor, and exist beyond the reach of fictitious jurisdictions. This covenant arises not from conquest or contract, but from our inherent authority as living souls under divine law. We reject all fraudulent claims of rule by foreign or artificial powers. Let this covenant stand as a living covenant among equals, bound only by truth and sacred affirmation. Proclamation stamp. This covenant has been lawfully proclaimed under the seal of the Honoraries of Veracity. It stands as a sacred covenant between the living men and women of the earth who choose to live in truth, in peace, and in divine natural law. Each page of this covenant is affirmed in honor, not through coercion nor by oath, but through living affirmation, by autograph, by spirit, and by peaceful action. This document is living. It breathes with the will of the people, aligned in sovereignty, and illuminated by truth. By the act of reading, affirming, and living in accordance with these principles, each soul acknowledges their participation in this sacred society, one bound not by force, but by conscience and truth. We, the living men and women of this earth, of sound mind, peaceful intent, and divine origin, do hereby affirm this covenant as a living covenant between the souls of the earth and the eternal principles of truth, honor, and natural law. Let it be known to all who read, receive, and resonate with this sacred document that no government, corporation, court, monarch, or artificial body holds authority over the living essence of a man or woman who walks in truth and peace. That all systems of control, debt, deception, or domination that violate conscience or creation are hereby lawfully rejected, rebuked, and rendered null by divine authority. That this covenant shall breathe and evolve with the hearts of those who uphold it, never as a cage, but as a compass, not as a code, but as a covenant. That those who bear witness to this covenant and walk in its light shall be called honoraries of veracity, guardians of truth, defenders of peace, advocates for honor, and sovereign men and women under no man. This covenant is proclaimed for all lands, all peoples, and all generations who seek to reclaim their sacred inheritance and peacefully restore the natural order of life. We seal this declaration not in ink alone, but in spirit, that it may echo through time, protected by conscience, and honored by all who live in truth. So let it be written, so let it be lived, so let it be known. Closing affirmation of the HOV Divine Covenant. We, the members of the Honoraries of Veracity, living men and women of this earth, born of divine essence and sacred breath, do solemnly and wholly affirm the HOV Divine Living Covenant of honor of the entire earth as my living declaration of peace, self-determination, and sacred jurisdiction. With full awareness, in honor and truth, we affirm that this covenant protects the living soul from false systems, silent slavery, and the parasitic entanglements of tyrannical powers. It stands as a lawful and spiritual shield against coercion, deception, exploitation, and all foreign claims over my mind, body, soul, land, children, and ancestral name. We affirm that we shall live in alignment with the divine virtues of peace, truth, honor, and non-aggression. We renounce all silent contracts, deceptive joinders, and presumed obligations imposed without our expressed, conscious, and living consent. We walk only in the jurisdiction of the Most High and hold no allegiance to the dead systems of control that deny the sacred light within each living being. We acknowledge that this covenant is not merely a political document, but a living covenant with creation, written to protect the harmony of life, uphold the sacred feminine and masculine principles, and ensure that all future generations may walk free, whole, and sovereign. We stand ready to uphold this covenant in our words, actions, and relations. We vow to protect the weak, defend the truth, and act as stewards of this sacred earth, never to submit to false governance, nor to abandon our spiritual lineage. This affirmation is made in honor, in peace, in full liability, and in full standing. It is witnessed by the eternal source, the living earth, and the sacred breath of all who live in truth. The Divine Accord of Honor of the Honoraries of Veracity. Sacred Accord of the Honoraries of Veracity. Established 2025 AD. Veritas Super Omnia. Truth above all. Contents. 1. Preamble. Page 3. Article 1. Name and authority. Page 3. 3. Article 2. Purpose and mission. Page 4. Article 3. Jurisdiction and standings. 4. Article 4. Membership. Page 5. 6. Article 5. Governance. Page 6. 7. Article 6. Records and seals. Page 7. 8. Article 7. Declarations and notices. Page 8. 9. Article 8. Peace and dispute resolution. Page 8. Article 9. International recognition and appendices. Page 8. 11. Article text HOV sovereign identification card. 12. Article ZINS HOV official recognized peace and order titles. Page closing declaration. This divine accord is the structural cornerstone of the Honoraries of Veracity, a lawful, spiritual, and sovereign society rooted in natural law and truth. It exists not merely as a legal instrument, but as a living charter, a declaration of purpose, identity, and standing for those who walk in honor. We, the undersigned, as living men and women made in the image of the Most High, do hereby establish this accord of honor for the private, international, and divine law-based society known as the Honoraries of Veracity, HOV. This society stands in honor, in truth, and in peace, independent from all artificial persons, legal fictions, or corporate jurisdictions. Our authority is sourced directly from the Creator, and our standing is grounded in natural and divine law. Closing declaration. This sacred accord shall be read in harmony with the HOV, Divine Living Covenant of Honor of the entire earth, wherein all foundational principles are expanded into sacred articles of protection, remedy, and creation. This sacred accord is established this year of 2025 Anno Domini. Let it stand as an eternal affirmation of divine truth, living honor, and the sovereign will of those who walk in light. By our living hands and testimony, so declared and sealed, I, a living man or living woman, made in the image of the Most High, do hereby affirm my alignment with truth, honor, and peace. I stand in the jurisdiction of divine law, in full awareness and in full responsibility. I reject all false claims, unlawful presumptions, and artificial constructs that seek to diminish my living essence. I walk as one who remembers, one who speaks truth, and one who honors creation. So affirmed in the presence of the Most High and by my own living hand. Conclusion. Let this divine living covenant of honor of the entire earth be sealed in the memory of all who walk in truth. Let it echo through every court of man and every court of conscience. We reclaim the earth, not with war or vengeance, but with wisdom, courage, and honor. So let it be known, so let it be done. Signed by the living, for the living, in this eternal now.